The German Chamber of Industry and Commerce in Vietnam has just released the results of AHK World Business Outlook 2020 survey. This report assesses the German business confidence and the impact of COVID-19 on production and business activities globally and in Vietnam. The survey pointed out the concern of German businesses about the negative impact of the disease on the production and business situation, but still expects the economic recovery in the medium term in Vietnam. Accordingly, the indicators in Vietnam are well above the average of these indices in the Southeast Asia. Specifically, up to 82% of German investors were forced to reduce their revenue growth targets for fiscal year 2020 due to COVID-19. On the other hand, 59% of them still affirmed the stability in the overall development of business in Vietnam. In the medium term, 72% of German businesses will continue to invest in Vietnam, and 27% of them will continue to plan to recruit personnel. Greetings from Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 Netviet. Recently, GIC announced the World Business Outlook 2020 amid COVID-19 pandemic. So what is the situation here in Vietnam? In today's program, let's have an online interview with Mr. Marco Vander, the Chief Representative of GIC in Vietnam on this topic. So thank you, Mr. Marco Vander, for joining our interview.
Hello and warm welcome to the whole VTC10 audience. Welcome in the office of the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Ho Chi Minh City, and we are really pleased to conduct this interview with you today.
So, Mr. Marco Vander, the COVID-19 pandemic is getting more and more complicated. So how does it affect the business operation and also the world economy?
As you know, the coronavirus situation is a big challenge for the whole economy worldwide. Also here in Vietnam, of course, we have direct impact. So we see some interruption of production processes. We have also interruption and limitations of the supply chain. All the restaurants, the whole tourism industry is affected. We see the cancellation of almost all business trips. So we have not taking parts of trade fairs, for example, and I think this is a big challenge. On the other hand, also outside of Vietnam, we have the interruption of the market demand from foreign countries, and on the other hand, also the interruption of, or partly interruption of the international supply chain.
In Vietnam, in the first 3 months of 2019, Vietnam's economic growth has witnessed a sharp decrease in economic growth. So what would you say about this?
So basically that's right, but please allow me to underline again that basically we see that the Vietnamese economy is really on track. We see after many years of economical growth, and also the forecast, the basic forecast for 2020 was a growth of 6.8%. And especially from our European view, we hope and we count on the new signed and adopted free trade agreement between the European Union and Vietnam. So basically the Vietnamese economy is healthy and really on track. Nevertheless, of course, in a short term, caused by the coronavirus pandemic, we will see a shortage of this growth. We still optimistic that at least at the end of the second quarter 2020, the coronavirus situation is over and the business could restart again. But of course, the forecast for 2020 cannot be any more 6.8%, but we still hope that we will see a healthy growth of maybe 4 or 4.5%.
According to GIC World Business Outlook 2020, German businesses are still very confident in Vietnam's business environment. So can you share more with us about this?
Basically, also I want to underline that The German business in Vietnam is quite successful right now, but of course also affected in the current situation through the coronavirus pandemic. But nevertheless, 60% of the German companies committed that they are affected by the coronavirus. And on the other hand, still 20% are really optimistic. 20% of the German companies in Vietnam, they told us that they think that their business is still getting better as planned also in 2020. But I think all over the German business is affected, but still quite optimistic until the end of 2020.
"2019 is considered a successful year in Vietnam-Germany trade and investment relations, with the total import-export turnover between the two countries reaching 14 billion euro. Vietnam has become the second most important partner among Southeast Asian countries of Germany, and also the country that attracts high attention from investors from Germany, with more than 350 FDI projects in Vietnam. 2020 is expected to be a challenging year for the global economy as the COVID-19 pandemic in recent weeks continues to spread and to be unpredictable across continents.
Trong thời gian tới thì chúng tôi nhận định vẫn còn rất nhiều khó khăn. Tuy nhiên thì với kỳ vọng là đến cuối quý 2 năm 2020, khi mà chúng ta có thể kiểm soát tốt được dịch bệnh và đồng thời là có các vaccine cũng như là thuốc đặc trị để có thể chiến thắng và chấm dứt đại dịch này, để qua đó thì giúp doanh nghiệp có thể tiếp tục các cái hoạt động sản xuất, kinh doanh và đầu tư của mình. Phòng Công nghiệp và Thương mại của Đức tại Việt Nam cũng như Mesa Berlin cam kết sẽ đồng hành cùng với doanh nghiệp trong đại dịch và sau đại dịch để có thể giúp doanh nghiệp vượt qua các cái khó khăn và đồng thời tìm kiếm các cái thị trường mới, tìm kiếm các cái đối tác mới, ví dụ như tại thị trường của châu Âu, tại thị trường của Cộng hòa Liên bang Đức.
According to survey data, 1 out of 5 enterprises affirmed their belief that Vietnam will revive the economy and continue its development momentum in the medium term. The government of Vietnam has been providing bailout packages to rescue businesses through this crisis. According to the results of the survey, 68% of businesses thought the COVID-19 pandemic would drastically reduce the demand of the market, thereby causing great losses to the businesses in Vietnam. 59% of German businesses think that economic policy in Vietnam won't be a challenge for their business development in the next 12 months. Other factors such as finance, infrastructure, and shortage of high-quality labor are also factors that cause concern for the German business situation in the medium term in Vietnam. So now let's get back to the interview with Mr. Marco Vander, the Chief Representative of GIC here in Vietnam. So, Mr. Marco Vander, it is said that there won't be a slowdown in all economic sectors, and that means businesses will have to cut their costs and also the profits. So, what would you say about this?
So that is unfortunately true, that most of the companies, also the German companies, they have to reduce their expectations for 2020, and of course also to take some adjustments in their budgets. So they will probably decrease the expectations for the turnover and for the income, and at the end of the day also for the profit. And that means you have to react, and I think every business leader, every manager in charge for the operation in Vietnam has really to think and to find smart solutions how to adjust the budget, and cost cutting is of course one of the options, but our survey also shows it's not the only option. And at the end of the day, and that makes me personally really optimistic, most of the companies are thinking are calculating to plan more, to do more investments in Vietnam for the near future, and they keep this plan.
Also, according to the report, it is said that the economic policy of Vietnam will also affect the operation of businesses of Germany here in Vietnam. So, do you have any recommendation or advice on loosening the economic policy of Vietnam for the foreign businesses here?
I believe that the Vietnamese government in the first line should take care about how to strengthen the Vietnamese companies. But of course, also the foreign invested companies in Vietnam are really important. If you see the numbers, that more than 50% of the whole industrial production it's made by foreign invested companies, and 73% of the whole export of Vietnam is generated also by foreign invested companies. So that's reasons enough that the Vietnamese government should have also an eye. Secondly, and this is our basic opinion, Vietnam should invest more in developing a modern dual vocational training program for the whole people of Vietnam. And I think this is best argument and the most important argument that Vietnam remains attractive for foreign companies also for the next years. You can find always cheaper locations, other countries with more tax incentives, but you never find a country with an educated workforce, and I think this could be one of the biggest advantages of the country.
Not only the German businesses, but also businesses from other countries are also very confident and happy with the action of the government of Vietnam against the COVID-19 epidemic. So does it boost the confidence of the German businesses here in the Vietnam's business environment?
Yes, absolutely. We as German industry and commerce in Vietnam, but also most of the business leaders of German companies, they told us that they are really satisfied with the actions of the Vietnamese government. It shows in the first wave it was a drastic reaction to close all schools, all university on a very early stage. And but now after a few months everybody agrees it was the right step at the right time. And from the business side, I can just confirm that most of the companies are still able to work, especially the production companies. And I think this is exactly the challenge for every people in charge, for every government worldwide. On one hand, to keep the business open as possible, and on the other hand, also to protect the people in their own country. And I think the Vietnamese government right now and so far did really the right things at the right time to have these two aspects.
So that's all the questions we have for you on this occasion. So thank you, Mr. Marco Vander, for joining us, and we wish you all the best and stay safe.
So thank you very much for being here with us today. And I wish to you, to the whole audience of VTC 10, and also for all your family members, good health, good luck, and I hope to see you very soon again here in our office, and maybe then we can have an interview with the situation after the Corona epidemic. So please keep optimistic. We are also very optimistic, and all the best to you.
And that's all we have for this episode of Sharing Vietnam today. So thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.